Citizenship by descent is a highly affordable way to get some of the best passports in the world by tracing your family tree to a passport that you're entitled to. But one of the biggest citizenship by descent countries has just decided to close the door on tens of millions of people. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, what you need to do now, and what your alternatives are. And I'm here in Portugal this week, but I wanted to share with you some late-breaking news from the industry about your citizenship options. I'm Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomad Capitalist. We help high-net-worth clients who want to go where you're treated best at nomadcapitalist.com/apply. We also offer an a la carte service for medium and difficult citizenship by descent cases at nomadcapitalist.com/CBD. We offer a number of different countries that we can help you in. One of those countries is now going to make it a heck of a lot more difficult for you to claim your citizenship by descent, and we're going to talk about this. One of the things I like about citizenship by descent is reconnecting with your ancestry. It feels good. It's a passport that is truly part of you, and it comes with less baggage than some other passport options at a pretty low price because you're just paying government fees. And if you want someone like our help, you're paying our fee to help you collect the paperwork and go through all the hassle. But you're not paying donations, you're not making big investments. Well, Italy is going to change that. Italy has adopted a decree to restrict citizenship by descent. As of March 28th, the government adopted Decree Law number 36. This is from the industry trade publication, introducing urgent measures concerning Italian citizenship. This intervention marks a radical turning point in their long-standing system that offers citizenship by descent. Italy was a country that basically said as long as you can prove what's called an unbroken chain, which means no one ever lost the citizenship before the next generation was born, you could pretty much go as far back as Italy was a going concern. And so I had a friend, and I called him up recently and said, "Aren't you glad you did it when I told you 2 years ago?" He said, "Yeah, I saw that. I'm glad I got a citizenship for me and my dad and my 4 kids because it was, I think, his great-grandparents, if not even great-great-grandparents, that he used to get citizenship by descent in Italy." He doesn't speak Italian. He's visited briefly, but he's lived his entire life in the United States. He's the kind of person that's now going to have a harder time getting Italian citizenship. And the reality is, a lot of folks in the United States, Australia, Canada, other parts of the world, they've been eligible for this. Until now, foreign-born descendants of Italian citizens could, as I said, claim citizenship without generational limits and without needing to demonstrate any actual connection to Italy. That's generally how citizenship by descent works. Maybe a country here and there wants you to learn the language a little bit, or they throw some barriers in. But generally, it's, do you have ancestry? And if you meet the criteria, here's your citizenship. I talked about, I have great-grandparents in Lithuania, and you can go back 3 generations to your great-grandparents. My issue is they left 2 years before Lithuania became a concern, and so that's why I'm not entitled to that passport. But if you had ancestors that left Lithuania or Hungary or Poland or a lot of European countries, you could get this passport. You don't have to go and live there. You don't have to generally speak the language. As long as you meet the criteria, you're in. And so it means if you live in the U.S. or Australia or anywhere, people in Argentina, I was in Uruguay, people said, "Oh yes, I'm German, or I'm Italian, or I'm this, or I'm that." They've lived in Uruguay, for example, their entire life, but their great-grandparents were Italian, for example, and they went back and they got that passport. I've got, my tailor in Colombia has been looking at this with his family. He's got Italian ancestry. A lot of people in Venezuela have Italian ancestry. So all over the world, people who maybe don't want to live in Italy or anywhere in the European Union could have gotten this passport. And so the estimate is that as many as 80 million people, or about 1% of the world's population, could have qualified for Italian citizenship. Well, what's changed? The government has now sharply curtailed that model. Under the new rules, CBD, citizenship by descent, is no longer guaranteed indefinitely across generations. The decree limits the automatic recognition of citizenship to only 2 generations. A person born abroad will be considered an Italian citizen by birth only if one parent or grandparent was born in Italy. Otherwise, the individual is no longer presumed to have ever acquired Italian citizenship unless they can meet certain conditions, and we'll come to that in a moment. Basically, what happened was you could just go back all the way through the family tree, as long as nobody naturalized, to where back in the old days before dual citizenship was a thing, back before they would have lost their Italian citizenship by naturalizing it. You could just keep going back through the chain. Now they want you to have a connection. And so what have I told you going back to the early days of Nomad Capitalist in 2012? When there's an option on the table, you have to claim it. I've talked to people who, they live in the UK, for example, but they're a Portuguese citizen and they've lived there for 15 years, claim the British passport. Anywhere you live or you qualify for a passport, we're seeing more people, Americans living in the UK. There was a big article. Because of Donald Trump, they're now naturalizing. They should have naturalized the moment they had the opportunity. With very few exceptions, in my opinion, having more passports offers you more options. Now, if you're looking to reduce your taxes to zero, do I think that there could be some countries in the future that join the U.S. in citizenship-based taxation? Sure. Do I think that some countries could impose military service? Potentially. And so you want to keep those things in your mind. That's one of the things that we talk to our clients about when they come, is what their concerns are and how that should affect the passports that they're getting. The reality is, in many cases, you could give up those passports if something ever happened. Why wouldn't you claim a passport you're entitled to, including through your family tree? Including, by the way, if your parents were just born somewhere else, in Canada or in Mexico. Those countries offer citizenship merely by being born there. So if your mom was born in Canada, she's Canadian. Can you become Canadian? Everyone should go through their family tree. This is something that we offer. Go to nomadcapitalist.com/CBD. We'd be happy to talk to you. If we can't help you, we'll tell you, hey, you don't qualify. But do not wait. And it's not just about Italy. I mean, at Italy, the ship has sailed. But if you have Hungarian or Slovak or, any, ancestry, we don't have a lot of people who've asked us about this, but there are countries in Latin America that have citizenship by descent. I mean, if you have ancestors from somewhere else, you should look at, can I get a citizenship? And they can change the rules at any time. Prices on immigration programs go up if there's an investment to make, but the criteria can also get more strict. And perhaps this is, in some ways, populism, cutting both ways, where, hey, why are we making it so easy for people to come back when, their ancestors left 4 generations ago? Here's the article again. This reform in Italy introduces the principle of an effective bond between the individual and the Italian state, aligning Italy with an approach that several other EU countries have already adopted. The bond requires tangible elements such as recent residence in Italy or direct paternal ties with the territory. In simple terms, Italy no longer allows foreign-born descendants of Italian immigrants to automatically inherit citizenship unless they can prove a real and recent link to the country. So the idea in Italy was always, basically, you are an Italian citizen. You just need to come and tell us, hey, here's, I'm the great-grandchild of this guy. Oh, okay, yeah, we always thought you were Italian, basically. Here's your citizenship papers, and here's your passport that you can now apply for. And so the article goes on, and it talks about, how you can acquire your citizenship. Here's a couple of alternatives, by the way, that are still more flexible. Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia opened up a couple of years ago. Hungary, Bulgaria, Albania. Check your family tree if you have people from there. That could be flexible. You can go back 1 generation less in places like Greece. We've had a lot of Australian clients who have Greek ancestry and qualify for Greek citizenship by descent. Portugal, Spain, now Italy. We had one of our old employees get Croatian citizenship. Slovenia, Czech Republic, Ireland, you can go back 2 generations. A lot of the rest of Europe will just be 1 generation. But check your family tree and see. Those are some of the more flexible countries. Italy is now less flexible, having been one of the more flexible ones. Is this something that's going to spread across Europe? I don't know. Honestly, I have to say I'm pretty surprised what happened. But this just proves citizenship rules can change at any time. And even as Italy is talking about making it easier to naturalize in their country, bringing that timeline down from 10 years, which is a bit longer by EU standards, down to 5 years if you live there and if you pay some taxes and if you learn the language, they're making it more difficult to get it by descent. I honestly can't say that I saw this coming, other than I do think any of the programs that we talk about do get more difficult over time. There's nothing else to say. Get the passports you're entitled to now and have a second passport. One reason I like citizenship by descent for people who qualify is you could go and get, let's say, a Caribbean citizenship by investment or Turkey citizenship by investment and get something that's a little bit different and that's truly diversified from, let's say, an American or an Australian passport or a British passport. But you could also go and claim, if you have it, citizenship by descent, to where, let's say I'm American. If I can get an Italian passport, well, now to me, those are kind of the same thing, because in terms of travel flexibility, an Italian theoretically can visit the United States. I know that's not, proven so well recently, that certain people getting detained and sent back and put in shackles. Not sure why you'd want to go to the U.S. if they're putting people in shackles, but okay, most Italians are getting into the United States. It's a lot easier than being St. Lucian or being Turkish. So if I'm American and I can go out and get, the different passport, but I can also get my Italian or Polish or Slovak passport that allows me that top tier travel document. Plus it allows me to live and work anywhere in Europe. Plus it allows my kids to live and work anywhere in Europe. And I've got all these 30 countries I can move between. That's incredible power, on top of the fact that I have pretty much all the same travel privileges an American does. Well, now, as we're saying, the U.S. passport's increasingly becoming toxic. People don't want to work with Americans. Now I could say, well, hey, if I could just be Italian in St. Lucian, for example, why do I need the American part if I don't need to live in the United States? That's an incredible power to have. And so if you missed claiming your Italian passport, that's a top tier, what we call Tier A travel document you won't be able to get. If you have Italian ancestry within the confines of this new 2 generations, or if you have other ancestry, go to nomadcapitalist.com/CBD. We'd love to help you as an a la carte service. There's no net worth requirement for just citizenship by descent. If you want us to help you with banking and asset protection and other passports and residence permits and taxes, you go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, and we can do that all for you under one roof for high net worth individuals. But as I've always said, claim the passports you can when they're available.